Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis, and this is for trading on July the 8th, 2021. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. As usual, we will start off by taking a look at our calendar here. So the big thing today was the Fed meeting minutes, FOMC, and we did see price trade in, or some of the pairs trade in both directions. But with the Fed, basically what came out of the Fed meeting minutes was that they are definitely looking at tapering. They haven't provided any sort of forward guidance, a firm date as to, or timeline as to when they will do that. But the consensus is that they are looking at, as the economic conditions get better, they are looking at tapering the asset purchase program that they have. So that is overall good for the US dollar. And coming up on Thursday here, we have ECB monetary policy meeting accounts here. Even though it's marked as a yellow, this is an important news event. With the ECB at this point, the data hasn't been coming out that great. So we're not really expecting any sort of interest rate hike in the near term. Now, they are likely to move after the Fed moves. So I would not expect ECB to start raising rates or cutting back before the Fed does. So I think Fed will move first and then the ECB will. So at this point, I'm just expecting them to hold the status quo. And if they do that, not much will change for euro. However, if they do talk about tightening the monetary policy or raising interest rates and talk about some timeline around that, that will be positive for euro. So it's always positive event when the central banks tighten the monetary policy for the currency. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then we have unemployment numbers here from the US. The numbers are expected to be within reason, so should not change things very much. And then we have crude oil inventories. If there's a drawdown, then that would be a positive thing for oil and as well as Canadian dollar, because Canada is a big exporter of oil. And that is pretty much the important thing. So quieter day, considering what we have seen in the market lately. All right, so let's go on to our charts here. We'll start off with euro dollar. Euro, we were looking for a drop. We got that. And now we do have a nice bearish candle close. So with this, looking for price to drop further, looking for a continuation here essentially. And the target is 1.1750. So bearish bias for euro. Second target is 1.1720 and potentially 1.1700. So bearish bias here for euro dollar. Pound dollar here, this one moved in both directions. Today's candle close is neutral. It went up, it dropped. So neutral bias for this one. Price ended the day where it started the day. So not much of a move here. So in this case, looking for a range bound move. So neutral bias for pound dollar. Aussie dollar here. So Aussie dollar and Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar overall are stronger because of the timelines in terms of interest rate hikes. Generally, they tend to move first before even the Fed moves. So in this case, we did see that initial move higher, but the problem was that price was into resistance, and this is where it got stuck, and then it dropped here. So right now, it looks neutral, doesn't seem to have a clear direction here. So I'm looking for basically a range bound move here as well. So neutral bias for Aussie dollar. And the range that I'm looking at is between 0.7450 and 0.7535. So neutral bias for Aussie dollar. With the New Zealand dollar here, the main thing has been that now the market participants are expecting Reserve Bank of New Zealand to really be the first mover here in terms of interest rate changes. And if that's the case, that is positive for New Zealand. But another factor we have to consider here, especially for New Zealand dollar, would be our US dollar in this case as well. So Euro New Zealand may be a better one to trade than New Zealand dollar, because both of the currencies both countries are looking at raising interest rates in the coming months. I would say there's no clear reason, clear direction provided by either of the central banks right now. And for this as well, expecting a neutral move, we need to wait for it to establish a direction that we can follow. Right now, over the last 4 days, it's just been going sideways. So for this as well, I am expecting a sideways move here. So no clear direction at this point. Looking for a range-bound move between 0.7060 and 0.6985. So neutral bias for New Zealand dollar as well. Dollar CAD here. So for this, we were looking for a bullish move. This one also moved in both directions. It went and retested the support level. And now it's neutral to bullish. There is still bullishness in this, but not looking super strong at this point. Now that the Fed meeting minutes are out, are over and done with, we need to wait for a clear direction on this one here as well. It could drop a bit more. It could retest lower towards 1.2450. And then if it holds that level, we could see move higher towards 1.2535. So neutral to bullish bias here for dollar CAD. All right, let's take a look at our commodities here. Silver. Silver is slightly bearish here. This one has also been struggling. It's been a bit range bound here. Last time price was here, even though it was a nice bearish pin bar, it did pop back up. So keep an eye on this. It has not broken through the support. So if it fails to break through the support at 26, we are back again into the range. So it's been trading in this range here for last several days. So neutral to bearish bias. Only if it goes through the support, then we will look at 25.50. In the meantime, though, neutral to bearish bias, 26 is the first target, and then 25.50. Gold here, gold is also, it's trying to go higher. But it has failed. It has not been able to go through the resistance. This is a strong resistance at 1816, and yesterday it did go up. Today it failed. So basically, we could see a range-bound move here as well. So neutral to bullish bias, looking for a retest of 1816, and then a move back into the range towards 1793. So neutral to bullish bias here for gold. Oil here, oil is dropping and bias is bearish still, looking for a further drop towards 69.50. So bearish bias for oil. And copper here, copper still looking sideways. Here, neutral bias price has been stuck in this very narrow range. And every time it comes into support, it bounces back. Every time it comes into resistance, it bounces back into the range. So right now, expecting a range-bound move between 4.32 and 4.18. And Bitcoin as well, it's been going sideways here, back and forth, hasn't really done much. At this point, looking for a move towards 32,000. So neutral to bearish bias for Bitcoin. S&P 500, this is also, this one's looking bullish. And with basically the Fed not providing any kind of real timeline as to when they will start tightening, this is looking bullish. So it's always a bullish thing for the stock market when they keep the monetary policy loose. So because Fed hasn't actually given any sort of indication as to when they will do that, it's bullish here. So 4,400 is the target for S&P 500. So bullish bias here. Nasdaq also still looking bullish here. we do have a pin though, which means price could start coming into trouble soon. Target right now is 15,000. So bullish bias, still maintaining that bullishness there. And then we have Dow Jones here. Dow Jones looking bullish still. And price couldn't go through the support here. So I'm looking for price to go retest the high. And this is where we may see trouble. This is an important support resistance level. Last time price was here, it bounced back. So keep an eye on 34,885. So bullish bias, but just be cautious with 34,885. If it does go through, then we will target the high of 35,100. And then DAX here, DAX still a little range bound here, still trading in the range sideways here. We do have bullishness. Next target is 15,800. So bullish bias for DAX. And then FTSE here. So DAX could change based on what ECB says tomorrow. So just be mindful of that. But FTSE also looking bullish. It is coming into resistance, and this is a strong resistance. Something we have to watch out for, but bias is bullish. Next target is 72.11, so bullish bias for FTSE as well. And then we have Nikkei. Nikkei dropped. It went in both directions actually, so neutral to bearish bias here. If it holds below 28,500, we are looking for a drop again. In this case, the first target is 28,100, and then we have 27, actually we have 28,000. So bearish, neutral to bearish bias. Is not a very strong bearish. Actually, it's the candle close for today is neutral, but because it's holding below this support resistance level here, it still has that slight bearish bias to it. All right, so that's it for today. You guys have a wonderful trading day, and I will be back again tomorrow. Bye for now.